Hi everyone, welcome back to Be Rich. I've got Arun with me, and we'll try and talk about something interesting today, other than talking about what's happening in the news. So, Arun, I heard you're reading a book.
Yeah.
What book did you read?
It's a book called David and Goliath.
Hmm.
So it's basically about an underdog beating the giant people.
Hmm.
So the example I would like to quote here is the movie called Ford and Ferrari, in which Ford is a big company in automobile, but in the racing, Ferrari is a big company. So in that movie, Ford will beat the Ferrari. And in tech world, what happened was in 1998, Yahoo had the chance to buy Google for just $1 million. But they ignored that Google will not be a big company in the future. They declined the offer. And again in 2001, Yahoo had the chance again to buy Google, but this time Google asked for $5 billion. They said that they'll give only $3 billion, and Google declined that. But fast forward now, Yahoo is nowhere in the tech world,
Yes.
but Google is a big company. So what makes underdogs more powerful that they beat the big companies?
Well, it is hubris. Hubris means taking things for granted. This happens not only in tech world and companies, it even happens in cricket match. Famous is India's World Cup match.
Yeah.
India won every single game. So we all knew, boss, finals we're going to lose.
Yeah.
It is written because simple reason is it's human nature. And you've already beaten Australia once. You thrashed them.
First match.
Yeah, you thrashed them. So you're more and more
We
confident.
take that for granted.
Even if you don't want to, even if you tell yourself, I'm not going to take it for granted, it is human nature to take it for granted. Right?
And also in 1983 World Cup, India beat the West Indies in the final.
Because West Indies took us for granted.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka won the World Cup because India took Sri Lanka for granted. So this is there throughout history. And that's what David and Goliath is all about. The story of David and Goliath is time immemorial, where a large man is beaten by a small boy with a simple stone because he took it for granted. Hey, what can you do to me? All of us have weak points. We all have inherent weaknesses. And those weaknesses can be exploited by someone who wants to overpower us.
Who is an expert in that?
Not only an expert, wants to overpower us. Even judo, jiu-jitsu is about this. Where you use your opponent's strength against him. And that's what Google did with Yahoo. Right? And they knew for a fact Yahoo will not buy them.
Okay.
Because Yahoo was so overconfident. When you have someone who's so overconfident, it's easy to beat them.
Okay.
Right?
They wouldn't have looked at the company, what it is doing, but they just thought it is a group of people coming to...
they thought it's a flash in a pan. Because the problem for Yahoo is, we all talk about Google and how great Google is, but there's been so many other search engines which came and disappeared. It's very hard to look at it at that moment and say this is going to be the next thing. It's going to dominate the world.
Okay.
Now looking back, you can always see the David and Goliath story works when you're always looking back. As a public person, I'm saying, unless you're David and you're facing a Goliath, then it's real for you because you're facing it at that moment, at that time. So you're applying yourself and you're looking for the weakness and you're exploiting the weakness. You're trying to survive, right? So that is a different thing. But if you're looking as an investor, where are you going to see the next David Goliath situation, whereas you can make an investment, make a multi-bagger, look at a small startup company, which is a small cap, which is making a product or a service similar to a large cap. And that small cap is going to thrash that large cap and swallow the large cap or even push that large cap out of business. To see that as an investor and place a bet on that, it's very difficult. Meaning, if I rewind the clock back and tell you, Arun, do you want to buy Yahoo share or you want to buy Google share? You will definitely say Yahoo share.
That time, 1990s and all.
Because it's normal. Because you're like a spectator watching.
So it's like safe bet. We can time invest on Yahoo, but Google is a startup.
Correct.
So people will prefer Yahoo.
Correct. Same way everyone expected West Indies to win. Everyone expected India to win.
Yeah.
They said it was India's match to lose. West Indies matches to lose. Same way it was Yahoo's supremacy to lose. And now it's happening with AI. Like now you see even Elon Musk is suing someone, OpenAI, saying you have breached my contract. He had an opportunity to swallow OpenAI before anybody because he was one of the first guys to fund them. Right? Okay. He got to swallow it. He did. He just put some chiller on it to see if something's going to happen. But he did not expect it to become so big.
It turned out to be a multi-bagger.
Much bigger than he expected. Now he's upset. Because that what would have given him probably a couple of 100 million, now there's a chance to give billions. And he has to share it now.
Okay.
Whatever he signed and invested, for that share he'll get. But
He wants the majority of the profit.
he wants it to be under him now, which what happened. Microsoft's not going to take its hand off OpenAI. And this is also true for Google. Google with Gemini is trying to capture imagination. But one advantage Google has over OpenAI is, which Google is exploiting, is everyone already uses Google.
So
Android phone, it's already established. So like how Microsoft was accused of it, pushing Internet Explorer front. Google is doing the same thing with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So we have an Android phone. Default will be Google's AI.
Nobody
You can use
ignore that.
ChatGPT, but you'll have to download ChatGPT, you'll have to install ChatGPT, and then you'll have to put subscription, everything. But humans are lazy. You would rather take the phone and just say, okay, Google, and talk to it.
That's why UPI became famous.
Exactly.
Just scanned the
And that destroyed Paytm.
Yeah.
So OpenAI has now a problem. And the problem OpenAI is how to convince people to jump through those hurdles and come and still use my service. And the only way that will happen is if they team up with someone like Microsoft and they create an interface where this device itself is not needed.
Okay.
Because most of us, when we use a phone, we don't really use the device for many things, like to make a call, to get a question answered, to get directions. You really don't need to look at the screen.
Okay.
So imagine a couple of devices are there, but they're not reached this level where you can use it, where you have it like, earpiece, and you can ask, what is the weather? What is the stock market price? You don't need to see the screen, right? You only need to use a screen if you're seeing a video.
Yeah.
If you're seeing, some kind of information, like you want to take a photo, then you need the screen. But most of the transactions you do with your instrument remains without it. So if OpenAI, using Microsoft's help, is able to exploit it, then Google will be in some serious problem. Because then there's no necessity to go to Google. Right now, most people are using Android.
Yeah.
And Google is your default.
Okay.
Samsung doesn't even, no one uses Samsung's big C and all that.
No.
Okay, everyone goes straight away and uses Google.
Yeah.
Now, if you have updated the latest version of Google, Android, when you say, okay, Google, you don't get Google anymore. Gemini immediately comes. It pops up.
So they are projecting the Gemini.
Yeah, they're pushing Gemini through it. So it's going to be interesting. The landscape of mobile technology is rapidly going to change within the next 2 years. 2 years from now, will we actually be needing to hold a phone and use a phone? Is a big question. And Apple also knows this. That is why they push for Vision Pro and they're trying to capture the imagination of the user. Right? So it is interesting time. And it is a David and Goliath time, because you have lots of Goliaths now. And a couple of Davids.
Okay.
OpenAI is a small David. But you got big Goliaths. You have Microsoft. You have Apple. And you have Google, you have Meta. So there's lots of big, Then there's also Amazon sitting on the sideline. So you got all of these Goliaths standing, and you got one small David. Now, who does David decide to team up with? Because here David has an advantage. Because in the original story, there was only one Goliath and one David. But here David has an advantage because the Goliaths also don't work together. They don't like each other. They love to kill each other. They're fighting each other. So they don't mind using a David to throw a stone on them and kill him. So if there is a David, Goliath would love to support. So which Goliath manages to get the support of the David, and which David, picks, is an interesting next few years to see. And what you've been reading in this story, you're going to see it playing out in front of you.
Yeah.
But this is all very intellectual. Now, as an investor, what do you do? That's the problem. Now, to say 100%, Arun, this guy is going to become the next Google.
We cannot say that.
Anyone who claims to say it is a fool, and if you believe him, you're a bigger fool. Because things are changing so rapidly.
Unless the product comes to the market, we cannot say.
Like Vision Pro has come. There's a lot of fanfare. They pushed it through YouTube. A lot of YouTubers reviewed it and made a big hoo-ha about it. But numbers are not there. It's not coming to the numbers they needed to come to. And people who are making softwares and apps are not ready to sit and waste time making apps for that. Maybe it will change. Maybe there's a first generation, the second generation will fix all the problems it's having and become cheaper. What I heard is the main reason why they priced this Vision Pro at this price point is because they're comparing it to their other displays. Mac displays are the world's number one displays. Everybody wants a Mac display. All editors want a Mac display. And those displays are costing around $3,000 to $4,000. So they think this is as good as that and they're pricing it. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. So it's curious to see how these things happen. And you don't realize where your weaknesses are, because as your company grows and evolves, new weaknesses appear. Right? It's like having a ship which is leaking everywhere. So you're constantly trying to fix it and patch it. And the ship becomes bigger and bigger. You have more leaks. So it's going to be interesting. But it's a good idea in terms of intellectual to understand it. But I'd say where it's most useful is in an organization you're working. All of us are a David somewhere. You're a Goliath to someone. Okay, you're a Goliath to someone around you. So you should be careful of the David. At the same time, you're a David to the Goliaths in your. So you can use this to leverage this kind of David thinking to defeat your Goliath. Someone you want to get a promotion over, someone you want to better. You're a student and you want to get better. You want to be the class topper. So you find out how. And then you can push. This book gives you that kind of analytics. Also, in the reverse is also true that you better be watching your own weaknesses. Don't take it for granted. When you hit a century, don't assume that next time you'll hit a century. Next time when you go, you're starting at zero. And always remember that and keep a beginner's mind intact. So at every point of time, we should think as David and also as Goliath. Yeah, this is why individual sports people can do this, because like in tennis, Djokovic can dominate. Even if he wins a match, next time he's on the court, he acts as if it's the first time he's playing. People may not like him. That's a different thing. But his mindset is like that. Even Usain Bolt also. Yes. Every time he ran, now he's retired, but every time he ran, he treats it like it's the first time. He doesn't take it for granted. But this is very easy to do in an individual sport. But it's very difficult to do in a team sport because team involves many people. And mistakes tend to get ignored. But in an individual sport, that player will be the prime focus. Correct. So, and everything is in your control. In a team sport, everything is not in your control. Rohit Sharma can only do so much. Dhoni can only do so much. End of the day, Virat Kohli and Gautam Gambhir, the famous fight happened, no? Something stupid, some ego at that moment of heat. It happens frequently. Yeah. So, it's difficult. But anyway, thanks for bringing this book. I hope you guys who have not read this book, read this book. Some of you have read it, might have read it a long time ago, and I suggest you reread it because you can really see this story playing out in our tech world right now, and in sports, in other places too. And it's something interesting to watch and learn from. Thanks for watching the podcast, guys. Me and Arun will see you in the next one soon. Thank you.